Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Assembly. This afternoon, we are focusing on this gentleman in the photograph. Pause the video. Who is this person, and why is he important? This gentleman is Martin Luther King Jr.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said on one occasion, "There is not anything more powerful than the marching feet of a determined people."
We were a caravan from everywhere.
We didn't have the money to go on the buses, so one of the guys said, well, let's hitchhike, some 700 or so miles.
Some came in cars, trucks and buses and bicycles, roller skates.
And you could look and see, as far as the eye could see, there were just people.
A pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
Dr. King had collected a lot of social themes and couplets and words and language, and he brought all the best of those years of speaking together in one and gloriously magnificent moment. I'm standing on the platform, about 50 feet behind him.
I kind of crawled up the steps and backed my way in, and I concentrated on his words and what he was saying.
And as I'm listening, I see that he is reading.
He starts off reading, and then at a certain moment,
Mahalia Jackson interrupted him while he's speaking. Tell him about the dream, Martin. Tell him about the dream. His whole body language changed. And he changed to what I call the Baptist preacher stance.
Like the greatest jazz musician, he just does an incredible solo.
And I say to the person standing next to me, whoever that was, I said, these people don't know it, but they're about ready to go to church.
Martin Luther King Jr. was a Baptist minister who advocated the use of non-violent means to end racial segregation in America. He first became known for the bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955. Martin Luther King Jr. also led the 1963 March on Washington to make his views known. In America, black people were not allowed to sit or work with white people, including on the buses, in schools and public facilities. Interracial marriages were banned. Martin Luther King played an important role in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed discrimination in public accommodations, facilities and employment. Martin Luther King Jr. also played a part in the Voting Rights Act of 1965. He was awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace in 1964. Unfortunately, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated on the 4th of April 1968. Due to his success in the change in racial segregation, many people in America call for there to be a national holiday in his honour. After much debate and battle in government, in 1983 it was decided the third Monday in January would celebrate his life and achievements. During his life, one of Martin Luther King Jr.'s most famous speeches was delivered on the 28th of August 1963 at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. It was entitled, "I Have a Dream." Pause the video. What do you think Martin Luther King said in his speech? The speech talked about how black people were still not free, even though millions of slaves had been declared free in 1863. Instead of carrying on with the rest of his prepared speech, Martin Luther King Jr. improvised the rest of his speech to deliver his true feelings and visions on the matter. Why is it important to learn about the work of Martin Luther King Jr.? How does this apply to what is going on in the world now? Pause the video. Martin Luther King Day Jr. Day celebrated in America? Here is a recent advert from American TV calling for all Americans to put Martin's words into action.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s message can be heard everywhere.
His words changed the nation.
And though you might not know where the words came from,
you can feel the truth behind them.
We're now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We're confronted with the fierce urgency of now.
The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. called us all to service.
Opportunities to serve those in need are all around you.
And every time you volunteer to read to a child, serve a hearty meal, or clean up a park in your comunidad, his message becomes a reality.
This January 17th is your chance to let MLK's words inspire you to action.
Learn how you can volunteer for a better tomorrow on MLK Day at AmeriCorps.gov/MLK Day.
What could you do to make sure his words are acted upon? What difference can you make? Thank you for listening this afternoon, and remember his words.